The Las Vegas Raiders just gave your Denver Broncos the actual best news as they are trying to defy Einstein's definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. They're going down a path that the Broncos have gone down multiple years in a row that has ended up being absolute disaster for the Broncos, and that's fine, Raiders. Mess around and find out. This will not go well for you. It proves Sean Payton was right about the Russell Wilson deal. So much here we've got to unpack. Let's dive right in. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me in the YouTube algorithm out a ton if you would smash that like and subscribe button. Big news here. Last night, Friday night, it came down the wire. I got a text at a church event, and I was just like blindsided by it, that Geno Smith was traded to the Vegas Raiders for a third-round draft pick. Vegas Raiders fans are like hurting their backs by slapping themselves on the backs, thinking they got the next MVP of the league, but there is 0 times in NFL history that a actual top tier quarterback will be given away for a third-round draft pick, and we got to go all through the route there. I think the first angle that I want to break down here is just how great this is for the Broncos, that what the Seattle Seahawks were trying to do and their little rebuild and reset there when they moved on from Russell Wilson did not come to fruition. They traded Russell Wilson. We got swindled in that deal, and you just see that it did not work for them. They did not get deep playoff runs out of there. That yes, they won the Russell Wilson trade, but they are now resetting the entire PlayStation there in Seattle as they are without Draymond Jones. DK Metcalf asked for a trade. Lockett was cut, and now they were without a quarterback. So they are doing a complete hard reset there. I also just think of this awesome tweet here by Carson. Imagine how this feels for Russell Wilson to be like, Russell Wilson is available for nothing. You don't have to give up any trade capital to get Russell Wilson. You just have to pay his salary, which we're paying the bulk of. You just give him a vet minimum. And instead, the Raiders are giving up draft capital to get Geno Smith and then paying him a wild amount, which we're going to get to in a second. So this just proves Sean Payton was right. There are a lot of people, like haters of Sean Payton, who think that he gave up on Russell Wilson too soon. This is proof in the pudding that the Raiders, Pete Carroll, who knows better than anyone what Russell Wilson still has in the tank, wasn't even willing to entertain Russell Wilson playing basically for free for the Vegas Raiders. But let's get into this Geno Smith trade and what all this means. So the big thing is the Raiders are going to be running it up here with Geno Smith, a third-round draft pick. Again, there are 0 times in NFL history where a top-tier quarterback can be got for a third-round draft pick. We know better than anyone else what happens when you think you're smarter than the NFL and you're like, well, that quarterback wasn't quite the man there, but I just think maybe just this time he'll work out here. And I remember Kase Keenum when Elway introduced him as Kase Keenum, and he played okay for the Vikings, but like, oh, he could be the man here. No, he couldn't. Like, if the Vikings were not willing to keep him there, that is a sign that he doesn't have it anymore. Same thing with Joe Flacco. Same thing with Teddy Bridgewater. Same thing with Mark Sanchez. Same thing with Russell Wilson. Like, we have been down this road over and over and over again. And if a team is giving up on a player, they know more about what that player can do than you do because they've been working with him for years and years and years. And so the Vegas Raiders are in trouble here because not only are they giving up that third-round draft pick, which is the draft pick that they got in return for trading Davante Adams to the Jets, but in addition to that, we have Diana Rossini and Schultz report saying that the Vegas Raiders are about to pay him mega dollars. And so he is getting a $40 to $45 million per year contract, which is going to truly make the Russell Wilson deal look like nothing. Because if you're giving him a 3-year, $45 million contract, that's just not going to age well for the Vegas Raiders. They also went into this offseason having just a ton of cap space to spend. And now if you're giving it to Geno Smith and Maxx Crosby, they're going to be in the same type of situation cap-wise that the Chiefs are in, where all of your money is locked up in these older aging players. And I just think that's a great thing for the Broncos to be in. Also love this little breakdown here from Mike Carmelini. Love all that he's doing over at Mic'd Up. Definitely, I'll put the link in the description here. Go watch his videos. They're so entertaining and amazing. But he broke down just last year, Geno Smith versus Bo Nix head-to-head. Who was the better quarterback? And you look here that you would prefer Bo Nix this season as a rookie. Like, has never played with grown men before, and he outplays Geno Smith, and you're going to give Geno Smith $40 to $45 million per year and hitch the future of your franchise to him. It's just a boneheaded move. And you look here that Bo Nix, yes, he was a little under in completion percentage, but how many drops did Bo Nix have this year? Where Geno Smith is playing with DK Metcalf, a true wide receiver one, Lockett, a great receiver. You got a great ball catcher out of the backfield in Kenneth Walker. He's not going to have this type of completion percentage next year with the Raiders, who basically only have Brock Bowers. You look here, yes, he had more passing yards. Again, Bo Nix came on late in the season. I think next year Bo Nix will definitely out-throw Geno Smith in both of these categories, and Bo Nix had more passing touchdowns, way less interceptions, a higher passing rating, more total touchdowns, a higher QBR, and more wins as a rookie. And the Vegas Raiders are hitching their future to him. You are seeing quarterbacks who've played at a high level, like Chase Daniels, come out and be like, wait, they're about to give $45 million to Geno? So, like, what is Brock Purdy going to get then? Because he's an actual good starting quarterback who a team wants to keep. So I think this is a death spiral starting for the Raiders. I was very worried about the Raiders going into this offseason when I heard that Stafford might end up there, and now I'm feeling absolutely fantastic just because I think they are in big trouble here. Geno Smith, one of the reasons they moved on from him was I think he led the league in interceptions in the red zone last year. Like that, he is just not a winning quarterback, and I feel fantastic about this and what this means for the Broncos, and the AFC West is in good shape. Now, what I will say is if the Raiders do intend to have him maybe as a bridge quarterback and still with the 6th overall pick get Shedeur, that might be a really smart move. It might be them having 2 at-bats here in the next couple seasons, kind of like the Atlanta Falcons did with Kirk Cousins. That they blew it with Kirk Cousins and he was over the hill and that didn't work, but they had Michael Penix waiting in the wings. And if the Raiders do that, I will feel a little less optimistic because I think Shedeur could end up being a great NFL quarterback. But as this stands right now, this is like a perfect start to the offseason for your Denver Broncos. Last piece of news I want to get into here is just a cool little report here that Lil'Jordan Humphrey, a lot of folks were curious, like when Lil'Jordan Humphrey was on this team, but Tim Patrick was cut and Samaje Perine was cut, and we know that Sean Payton loves him some Lil'Jordan Humphrey because he is a tremendous team player and a great blocker. He is not your prototypical wide receiver. Well, he has ended up adding some weight here in the offseason, and there are some rumors here that Lil'Jordan Humphrey could end up playing some tight end next year. So as the Broncos are moving into next year, that could be a really cool little element there because we've seen what he can do with the ball in space, and if he adds some muscle there and could end up being a tight end, that could be really wild and also crazy because there were a ton of folks who were like saying this last season and saying like, hey, he should add weight and become a wide receiver. And all like the pundits were like, oh, you're dumb. You don't understand football. And it's just kind of cool that sometimes like YouTubers and people on Twitter can see the future before it even happens. So let's hope that happens. Raiders giving us a gift. Amazing news to start our weekend in Broncos country. We got a ton to believe in.